podcast.
You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mando Monday. I am your host, Mike, and, well, we got a lot to unpack with this last episode. So my thoughts are going to be all over the place. Oh, you'll have to forgive me. And on top of that, we should probably, well, let's see. I got to get my stuff together here. There we go. We have a lot to talk about. I'm not going to get to everything, as you can imagine, because of so many reasons going on here. And I had my show notes. There they are. As to why I'm not going to be able to get into everything. So I'm going to try to do it as simple as I can, and I'm rambling as it is. First and foremost, I just want to give a shout out to my good friend Bob, who's really just going through the moon for this episode and the season. Really, the season's been top notch. And my friend at work, Steph, as well, who she talks to me about the Mandalorian every week as much as we can at work. So I just want to give a special shout out to them. All right, so let's get into the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is putting Fett on the back burner with the main mission. Although I would have loved to seen Luke and Fett kind of interact and how that would have went. I thought that was good that they kind of used him in the right way. And of course, we'll have more on Fett at the end of this thing. The tension with the characters I thought was pretty interesting as well. Cara and the Imperial, where they were going back and forth with their exchange, and I thought that was great. Fett, Bo, and I can't even say her name. Koska, excuse me. With their exchange, I thought that was really great. The action, of course, was top notch. And the growth of the characters, the majority of them, Bo, Koska, Din, Cara, and of course Boba as well. And Gideon is fast becoming one of my favorite Star Wars villains of all time. His charisma is just amazing. But anyway, the bad, I don't have much bad. I mean, it wasn't really bad. The only thing I would say is Cara and Fennec should have covered the 6 of Bo and Koska as they were on the catwalk. They didn't do that. But other than that, they did that. Bo and Koska did that as well, or Reeves, if you will, in the hangar bay, the next phase of the mission, so to speak. They covered Cara and Fennec there. So I don't know. It was a little. I guess that was my one gripe. The ugly, there is no ugly at all in this. The only thing I'm going to say is I don't know how you top season 3, because this had everything in the second half. I mean, I know I said things earlier in the season. It felt like an RPG, and there was some issues going on. But overall, I mean, this was an amazing season. Some of the best Star Wars we've seen the last 4 episodes, I believe. So this is just an amazing thing. The other good thing that I wanted to mention is this is something I've been hopping on since season 1, was that Grogu has left the show for now. I think this was needed, and I'm glad they did it. I know it was heartbreaking for a lot of people, especially my daughter, who bawled her eyes out. But anyway, let's get to the questions, because we get a lot of them, and I'm not going to be able to cover all of them, and I want to keep this as short as possible episode. I highly suggest listening to Albert and Jonesy on the Cantina Cast, the main show, diving into everything. They haven't, as the time I'm recording this, they haven't recorded the main show, but I imagine it's going to be a 4-hour show, and I'm going to have to edit that. So good thing I'm off tomorrow. But anyway, where was Axe when they went in to meet Bo and Koska, excuse me, Reeves? I'm going to get that. I'm horrible with names, with Star Wars names, so forgive me, please. And they met there, which was a great scene in the cantina. I mean, cantina scenes in Star Wars are always good, and something special for me here on the Cantina Cast. But where was Axe? Was he dead already? Was he just off on another mission, which I assume he was? He was looking for something else. And then the other thing I thought was kind of interesting was Bo having an issue with Fett. And I get maybe she has an issue with Fett more so than the clones, but I don't recall her ever saying in the Clone Wars that she had a problem with like Cody, and Rex and all that other stuff. Like she never, said anything bad. But then when she sees Fett, and I guess it's because Fett was in her eyes, isn't really a Mandalorian. You know, that whole foundling thing with Jester Morell and all that stuff going on there. I assume that's what led her to be so sour towards Boba. And I thought that was a great scene with the three of them. And I'm wondering if the squabbling, because they were squabbling and they got into their fight, and this seems like a typical Mando thing, because Bo was like, all right, enough of this. And then they all kind of were at, I wouldn't say at peace, but they were all like, all right, whatever, we'll move on and do what our thing. But this is a typical Mandalorian thing. Is this like the Vikings? They squabble and do their things, but they kind of move on quickly. I don't know. Because even Fett seemed pretty relaxed when Bo said, knock it off, we need to save it for the Empire. And then when they're flying around in the hyperspace thing, they're having that conversation, and he's like, well, don't worry about me, princess. Just, I'll be fine. Just stay safe or whatever he says there. I thought that was pretty interesting. Boba Fett's turning into a very interesting character really fast. All right. So the other thing is, how is the New Republic not dealing with this? Like the Outer Rim with this fleet going on. There's got to be other fleets, as we know, with Thrawn, uh, Ray Sloan and stuff. They're out there, right? So Kara knows about this. The pilots that their names escape me now, but that ran into Din and Kara know that there's something going on here. And I know the New Republic is obviously demilitarizing and not really going out and checking things. They have these little scout things going on, but how do they not know, like, hey, and even Luke with his one X-Wing goes there and knows there's something going on. How is this not being stressed? I'm sure we're going to get answers to this at some point. My other question with the Dark Troopers is if Din was dressed up as an Imperial in a uniform or a Stormtrooper or whatever, any kind of Imperial, would the Dark Troopers just walk by him? Is this like the Achilles heel with the Dark Troopers, or are they programmed to be the Terminator and just kill everything with the exception of whoever they got in their mind? Kind of like Anakin. Like the troopers didn't kill Anakin, so to speak, during Order 66. So, and the other thing I have is Boba's armor really Beskar? And even Bo and Reeves and Axe as well. Din's taking a lot of hits and he's got punched in the face by the Dark Troopers, but he didn't get a dent. Boba gets a blaster dent from Cad Bane. I'm wondering if it's like a mix of things, and Din's actually pure Beskar, which is why he uses it against everybody. I'm going to go with that. I don't know. Someone out there might say something different and let me know, because I didn't dive into this as well. I didn't, like, before this show happened, I didn't go and search this out of what's what. So if anyone's out there, I'm sure someone can clue me in. I may know a lot about Star Wars, but I don't know everything, not all the little details like that. But anyway, the other thing is, what is Gideon's real plan here? Obviously, he wanted to lose to Din, because I think he could have taken Din, although it was a really awesome fight. Don't get me wrong. And that Darksaber, the way they used it, I'm impressed how they used it. It was awesome, the effect and everything. And Gideon, again, becoming a favorite villain of mine. But what was his plan, really? Is it more or less knowing that, okay, in order to get the First Order or whatever plan, the Empire, the remaining Empire, back on its feet, so to speak, and knowing the Mandalorians are out there, like Bo-Katan and her group and stuff, is it the sense of, like, we got to take them out of the fight so they don't join up with the rebellion or the New Republic or whatever and cause problems for us to rise, because we can't have that. So if they're squabbling amongst each other, who's going to rule the clans and everything, then that comes to his advantage and the First Order's advantage. That's kind of where I'm going with that. And now the big controversy, which everyone seems to be having an issue, is why did Bo-Katan not accept the surrender of the Darksaber when she did it with Sabine? Now, if you listen to the show, and I had a clip and I forgot to bring it down here like a dope, I forgot to add it into the soundboard. When you listen to Gideon talking, she has to win it again. So she actually has to fight. Okay, so maybe the first time you do it, someone surrenders to you, but you lost that. And in order to regain it, you have to fight to have it the second time around. It's kind of how I took it when I listened to it for this would be my fifth viewing before I did the show here. And I listened to it and I had the soundbite, and I wish I had it here. But I wanted to do the show and I forgot to add it into the soundboard here. But he says in order to win it back, she has to fight you. So I'm assuming he knows that, okay, it was surrendered the first time and everyone else knows that. But in order to be the true leader, you got to fight for it the second time. It's kind of where I'm going with that. I think this is, and of course, we need some big questions because going forward, it's going to be all about the Mandalorians, at least for season 3, and uniting the clans and what all that's going to be, and that'll be very interesting. Um, so I'm assuming we got to have that tension, and that's where this is going to come. And I think that's why she said it. The other thing is maybe she was just didn't want to appear weak in front of Gideon, because as he says, you have to assume I know everything. And okay, so he does. So he must have known that Sabine surrendered the saber to her, and she lost it in combat, I assume, to Gideon. And all the other Mandos are going to see her. You know, she's got to fight for it in order to lead because you had it handed to you once and you lost it in combat. So you shouldn't have had it, is what I'm getting at there. But anyway, and the other thing is, why didn't Gideon have a suicide shock pill thing in his mouth like the other Imperial? I mean, I guess he thought Luke Skywalker wasn't going to show up like the rest of us and didn't, think that was going to happen. So he tried to take Bo out and then his nemesis, and then he was taking the child out because obviously he can't have the child around with Luke Skywalker. He can't have that because that's a bigger threat than anything else. So he was going to take himself out. Will Din become the true ruler? I guess this is the big question going into season 3 with Bo, right? With that tension there. He's going to be the reluctant leader. The other one wants it, and then maybe he's finally accepts it and goes on from there. We don't know. We just don't know, but we'll find out, I'm sure, next season. Some observations. I thought it was great that Fett didn't care about being a Mandalorian. He could care less. He's like, I didn't say I was a Mandalorian. I'm this or whatever. And of course, we get the end credit scene, which I'll get into in a moment. But I'm just curious why Fett doesn't really care about the Mandalorians. He's all about whatever he's into doing at this moment, or even before. He was a bounty hunter. I guess it was more lucrative. Maybe his clan got wiped out, so to speak. And so he's like, yeah, we're done. So I'm not going to get into it. And by the way, this was probably, maybe you'll disagree with me, but I thought this was the most violent episode of The Mandalorian, or even any Star Wars, really, next to Revenge of the Sith. This was pretty brutal. Kara shooting a guy in the face, Din choking out a stormtrooper, and it was pretty brutal, I thought. Anyway, the other thing, we got to get some Rock'em Sock'em robot versions of the Dark Troopers. That's got to be a toy somewhere, somehow, because that's all I could think of is a combination of the Terminator and the Rock'em Sock'em robots, because that's all I could think of when I saw him pounding on the Din's helmet in the door there. But anyway, let's get into the big 2 things that happened here. The Luke talk. That's what I'm going to call this segment here. Now, I knew as soon as the X-Wing showed up, I'm like, they didn't. There is no way they did this. And I'm like, it has to be him. Who would show up in a solo X-Wing? It ain't going to be Mace. Maybe Ezra. I don't know. Something's up here. This is crazy. I was like, all right, I guess we're going here, right? I was like, all right, okay. I kind of believe it, but I'm still in doubt here. Then we get, I believe Grogu was communicating the whole time to tell him, hey, things going down. Obviously he touched base on the Seeing Stone and all that. And I think as he was being, whatever they were doing, taking his blood and danger going on, he must have been keep communicating because he was kind of lethargic the whole episode, right? We discussed that in Discord. And then we see our hero walking in the hallway, and I lost my mind, and I kept saying, no way, this is a trick. It's the behind him. There's no way. And then we see the green saber, and you knew right then and there, there's only one Jedi that could do that. It makes sense that he is the last Jedi, literally. And look at that, me using a Ryan Johnson title there. He is the last Jedi, and it makes sense that it would be him. I just think technology-wise, we didn't think it would happen or you could do that, but story-wise, it made the most sense, right? And the best thing is seeing Bo kind of like, yeah, that's a Jedi. This isn't like Ezra. This isn't Ahsoka. This is like a full-on Jedi here. And she had that tone of like, things are changing here. What's going on? Which might play into next season as well. And of course, Gideon with the fear. As soon as that happened, he saw who it was. He knew who it was. It was great to see him have fear. And then Bo kind of having, I guess, a reminiscent kind of moment of the Clone Wars. And then we see Luke just cutting down all the Dark Troopers like it was nothing. And it reminded me, the way his fighting style was very much Anakin and a little bit of Obi-Wan, and of course Luke's own style that he has going on there as well. And of course, we get the connection to Rogue One, where he's in the hallway just like his father, cutting things down. And then we get the Force Crush, which was amazing. And I wish we'd saw that in The Last Jedi with, one of the walkers that they had there. That would have been awesome. And then I thought about this that I thought was a little odd, but it makes more sense now that I've watched it a few times and was thinking about it. Is why didn't Luke just open the doors? Like just go completely badass and just open the doors and be like, all right, come on, little one, let's go with me. But that's too aggressive. He's trying to show to them, no, I don't mean you harm. You're probably all pooping your pants now because I just slaughtered all the dark troopers, which you would all have a problem with, and I just walked up to the door. He was waiting for them to accept him to come into the thing because then Fennec's like, "Are you crazy?" And I laughed when Kara even said, "One X-wing, great. We're gonna be rescued or whatever." And I laughed and said, "Well, yeah, you will because it's Luke." Now let's get to the other big issue: is the CGI Luke. Now I remember watching it. This is at 3 a.m. I'm thinking, is that Sebastian peeking through? Is that like? I knew they used a body double for a stand-in there. And I'm like, you kind of see the actor who was standing in for Luke with the CGI over his face kind of coming through. It looked like that to me. However, the more I've watched, the more comfortable I am with it. The fine, I'm okay with it. I've seen worse CGI, like the Leia and the Tarkin one. It reminded me like the Tarkin one. There was times where it took you out of it, but it was okay. Luke, I think the speech lining up the talking was the bigger issue, but it wasn't too bad. Leia, I thought was more off-putting from Rogue One, but I thought they did this well. It was fine with me. I've seen worse, like the Battlefront 2 version of Luke CGI is horrible. That's like the worst one I've ever seen. I know some other people on like YouTube and that have mentioned that it looks similar to that. I disagree. I thought it looked better than that. I can accept it because we had the awesomeness that it was, and I think they did it right with the cloak on and him going through the hallway and doing his thing. And I thought that worked. And then revealing himself and used when they had to do it. Like it was an absolute okay. Now he has to talk here. Let's do it. Where it passes and everything instead of doing the whole hallway scene where you'd see his face. That would have been tough to do there. And then, of course, if things weren't getting ramped up enough emotionally, we get R2D2. And I think that got me the most, to be honest, is R2. And then you see Luke and then Grogu kind of getting on with R2 there, like chatting wise. And you wonder is like, does he remember R2? Does R2 remember him? But because you don't remember R2 remember Obi-Wan, like on Tatooine. So I don't know. Something was going on there. It was very interesting. There's more to be revealed. I thought that was great. So, I look forward to all the memes of Luke calling up Din saying, how do I deal with the kid eating all these eggs and stuff and whatnot. So I thought it was done really well, used very right. I think that's a word, used very right. Used very well, done well. Props to John and Dave and everybody on the team for doing this. It was amazing. See, I'm losing my thoughts because I was so excited about this episode. And again, I don't know how you're going to top season 3. I mean, I don't know how season 3 tops this because this was amazing. And if that wasn't enough, I knew something was weird because when it ended, I'm like, wait a minute. We got no post-credit concept art. Albert and I are screwed when we're going to use art for the thumbnails for the show and everything. And then I'm thinking to myself, is this it for the show? Because technically you could end the show here because Din completed his mission. And yes, they're going to unite the clans and all that, the next chapter or whatever. And you say to yourself, well, they could do that in another series with Bo, Din, and everybody. And they could go their separate ways here. And I'm saying to myself, is this the end? And then we get a post credit and we see on Tatooine. I'm like, oh, all right. Okay. Why are we here? Is there something more? What's going on here? And then you see Jabba's palace and you're like, all right, well, this has to evolve Boba some way, somehow. And I thought maybe they were going to show post-Sarlacc. Well, it was post-Sarlacc pit, but I thought maybe it was going to be soon after that, maybe going or whatever. I didn't know what was going on. And then a surprise, we see Bib on the throne. I'm like, this guy? And then I'm thinking to myself as I'm getting ready for the show today, I'm like, what is he ruling over? Because the Bounty Hunter guild is no longer there, as we found out in season 1. There isn't much going on there. You got to imagine the Hutts wouldn't have let him be in charge, or maybe they did this. Like, whatever. There's nothing there. We'll just let him run the show just in case we something comes up or whatever. Um, and then Fennec comes in, shoots everybody. That was great. The best was a nice little Easter egg in the background. The dancer girl, the singer girl that Fett, uh, was when Return of the Jedi was talking to or whatever, and flicked her chin or whatever. I guess if I remember right, she was in the background, but she runs away or whatever. But I thought that was interesting that they showed her there, a connection to Return of the Jedi. Nice detail there. And then he comes down, points his blaster right at Bib, and of course, we get the reference of McClunky. That made me think of Albert, and that was funny. And then he just shoots Bib, and that's it. It doesn't even care. Unlike Han Solo, he shot first, and that was it. He gave him a second to talk, but then that was it. And then he throws him off. That new theme music for Boba Fett plays, and it's awesome. And he chills on the throne, puts his blaster down, looking all around. Fennec gets the spatchka or whatever it is, and comes over, and they're just chilling out. And it says the book of Boba Fett coming in 2021, and I lose my mind. All right, so we're getting a Boba Fett series. Now, there has been some confusion. As far as I know, this is a separate series coming out. This isn't season 3 of The Mandalorian. This is going to be Boba Fett's own thing. And I imagine they were filming some stuff already while they were on set there, because obviously they did that. So they must have filmed some stuff as they were going there, I would imagine. So that was really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what Boba does. I mean, he's becoming a very interesting character now, and not that one-dimensional cool guy with the jetpack and blaster and the gadgets and the Slave One and everything. Now there's some depth to him. And the only thing I could think of is like, well, why would he want to rule Tatooine? What is he trying to do? I can't see him wanting to rule something. I could see him wanting to get paid and do his thing, kind of mercenary stuff. But then I'm thinking, well, maybe he wants to run the Bounty Hunters Guild and kind of control that and have his own little thing going there. I don't know, but we'll see what goes on. I'm looking forward to that. We'll probably get more over the summer. I imagine we're going to get some kind of a trailer, something. And this is coming in Christmas 2021, December 2021. I imagine season 3, The Mandalorian, is coming in October of 2021. And I don't know when Bad Batch. I hope that's spring. We got a lot going on. It's crazy. But anyway, I'm going to do it for now. So this is it. That's the end of season 2. I look forward to season 3. I don't know if I'll be doing this show next year or what's going on with this show. We'll see. But it's been a pleasure the last 2 years doing this, or a year and a half, if you will, or 2 seasons, if you will. It's been fun. I've had a blast. The Mandalorian's a great show. I don't know how they top this, but I'm going to get out of here because I've gone on long enough. This is supposed to be a 20-minute show at top. So you guys enjoy your day. Listen to Albert and Jonesy and all their in-depth stuff. I'm sure it's a 7-hour show, probably. Who knows? But I will catch you guys probably soon. So anyway, I'm out. You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.